everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And today we have our latest episode of On Friendship. And it's not even just our normal monthly episode. We have a very special episode because this is our 40th episode of On Friendship.
That's exciting.
Now we have podcasts together more than that because we have done Christmas episodes and the adventure recap, things like that.
Okay.
But this is our 40th official On Friendship episode.
It's like a little anniversary.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I'm Pumpkin Rachel Wagner, and Alysa Lucas is here.
Hello, everybody.
So how's it going?
I've never been so excited to record a podcast episode in my life. This is really the moment where Hallmark and Lifetime come together, and I'm very excited.
Well, we thought it would be fun for the 40th episode because you grew up on Lifetime.
Yep.
To do our first Lifetime thriller, but not only that, we are talking about Fit for a Prince on Hallmark and Stalked by a Prince on Lifetime because they had the same cast, or at least the two same main leads.
Yeah.
And I wish that every Hallmark movie could have an accompanying Lifetime thriller.
I would be so excited.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes. I don't know that Lifetime can keep up.
Yeah.
Hallmark.
And especially, I mean, what's amazing about these two is that they're both about a prince.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Who would ever thought someone would be stalked by a prince? But here we are.
Yeah. I mean, to be frank, I think both movies are pretty mediocre, but the fact that they both happened with Natalie and Jonathan, I just think is really funny.
Yeah, I want to know how this came to be. Like, they had to know, or was there a plan? Did Fit for a Prince come first, and then they were like, we have to do a Lifetime. This would be amazing.
I mean, they had all of they had Natalie and Jonathan, I guess, together. I don't know if it was the same production company or who knows. But
genius
I love it.
Is what it was. Genius.
It was genius. It really was. And I just, how entertaining would that be?
Yeah. Every Hallmark movie has a Lifetime companion.
I mean, because I've said many times, most of the Hallmark movies, you change the score in their horror movie.
Yeah, and that was immediately was Stalked by a Prince. The music took me over.
Yeah, right?
I was like, woo, we're in a different vibe now.
Yeah, the music did a lot of heavy lifting on that one.
Oh goodness.
But I guess we should just dive in. What did you think of both of them? And did you agree with me that they were both kind of
Yeah, they're both mediocre, but
yeah.
I have to say that I watched Fit for a Prince first.
Yeah,
so
me
I
too.
went Hallmark first. And I thought it was fine. There's some key parts and that sort of thing. And I just spent so much time watching Project Runway. And so this one was about making dresses. So I like a fashion designer. So I was like, yes. And then I watched Stalked by a Prince. And like I said, the music took me over and I knew I was in for a ride. What a treat. Meaning it was so bad, it was good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think the funny thing too is that Fit for a Prince, in reality, is truly at the very least, it's a drama that about these people being forced to work in a sweatshop.
Yeah.
Like, there's the question. I mean, it's ridiculous. This woman, Rebecca, I mean, they're acting like, oh, she just doesn't say thank you enough. I'm like, there's literally a moment in the script where she's like, where Cindy says they haven't had a day off in months.
Yeah. Hello. Including Sundays. Like, come on. And she's off gallivanting and she's got her staff. And
I'm like, there are laws. You can't do this.
And I bet they don't make a livable wage. Let's be real.
Yeah. It's just like, you can't, you have to give people time off and you have to like, you can't
Pay
just do
them.
that, Rebecca, you crazy Nazi. Like, what?
Yeah. She was very adamant about getting dresses made, and considering she's the designer, she did very little to help them.
And very little designing.
Yeah. No, she didn't do anything.
Yeah. Nothing. And I understand that is how like these fashion houses, that's what they do. You know, you'll have like so and so for Ralph Lauren. And it's not like Ralph Lauren is doing the designing.
Yeah.
But still, hopefully Ralph Lauren isn't operating a sweatshop where people don't have a single day off in months.
I imagine they have a larger staff than the 4 people they had.
Probably. I would hope so.
And considering how much work they had, and she's a famous designer that is designing for royalty, you think that there would be more people involved.
Yeah. Well, and this one though was more outright a Cinderella movie than we typically see in these royals, because I don't think, have we done a royal movie?
I know I like a royal series on Netflix around Christmas. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah. The what are they called?
Switch Up or something. I don't know.
Oh, the Vanessa Hudgens ones.
Yes, yeah, I love those.
Yeah, those are pretty funny. But we haven't
but there's a second series of Prince movies too.
Yeah, those
like
ones.
The Prince and I or something. I don't
Christmas
remember.
Prince.
Yes, that one. Yeah, I love those movies.
If you want a good laugh, Jenny Nicholson, YouTuber, she has a hilarious video on the Christmas Prince movies about how they're truly a dystopian. It's really funny.
That's good stuff.
But I don't think you and I
I don't think
have reviewed a royal movie.
No.
Yeah. And they are their own thing in Hallmark, and they have one, I don't know, close to one about every season. There's always at least one at Christmas. I mean, I think it was 2018 was the royal wedding. There were like 8 that year. It was.
Here's the thing: how many princes are there that they need to make this many movies?
Well, there's always, almost always like a fake country. Usually it's some like variation Genovia. On Genovia. Yeah, on Genovia. Moldovia. All these Eastern European countries are like, the princes are hard up on for love.
Yeah, and there's never any princesses. It's always princes. It's always an American gal.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few with princesses, but not that many. Yeah, not very many. And and they always, of course, just have a British accent instead of Eastern European, of course.
Which that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What's that about?
But there is a charm to them. They're all basically trying to be Cinderella, and so I kind of liked the fact that this one was very outright about it being basically. I mean, her name is Cindy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I liked that. We also have Ish Morris playing Reggie, who's who's her best friend and
one of the sweatshop workers.
Yeah, one of the sweatshop workers. I love him. He's so good.
Yeah.
And she basically thinks, I think it's one of those things that you invest so much in a particular job that you hate, but you've invested so much so you don't want to leave the job, because first of all, you think that the big break is coming, and you don't want to have wasted all that time all that misery that you.
It's like Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, and so it's just like this perpetuating thing, and so that's kind of what she's doing. And he says that she's going to dangle that carrot in front of you forever.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So
That's
she's
true.
never going to get her own brand,
Mhm.
which her boss has promised her to help her create this brand.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because there's no motivation aside from like her only motivation to do it is to keep her word or keep her promise. And that for this lady who doesn't mind having a sweatshop, like that's not gonna do much for her. This Rebecca woman. So she needs some kind of like selfish motivation in order to do it. And I did at the end, I would have loved for Cindy to, when she's offered the partnership or whatever, I would have loved for her to be like throw it in her face and be like, no, I'm starting my own royal line of dresses, and especially if I can make all these dresses in 24 hours with an assistant who doesn't even know how to like sew. I feel like you'd have a pretty strong case there.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
I didn't like the closure of like, oh, you can be my partner. Why?
Yeah.
I'm doing what are you doing? What are you bringing to this besides your name?
Right.
Other than that, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe some connections, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And so there's this family named the Hamiltons. And I think we maybe got the same house, this castle, in both movies.
It looked like a hotel that was jazzed up.
Yeah, it was just like obviously stock footage of this castle or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the Hamiltons are American royalty, evidently.
Yeah, apparently. Well, and I like how like the girls in this movie sort of operate as the wicked stepsisters in a way, because they're mean to Cindy. Mm-hmm. So don't get enamored by the folks because they're bad.
Evil. Yes, and you have Prince Ronan, the world's most eligible bachelor, is the guest of honor.
Why are they always the most eligible bachelor? Because here's the thing, it's not realistic. You're a prince, you're in line to be the king, and you're like, hey, let me go slumming and looking for looking for chicks. Like what? I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can believe he's the most eligible bachelor, but that he has such a hard time finding dates is probably, you're right. It's probably
it makes sense.
Realistic.
But like it's also like eligible bachelor doesn't mean he's a good catch.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the assumption always is, well, it's a prince. So oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I guess, what do you think about Jonathan Keltz as our leading man for both these movies? How do you feel?
Oh my God. I liked him. I thought he was a good prince and fit for a prince, and I was terrified by his anger and drinking and stalked by a prince.
Yeah. So I think he's solid, entertaining. I like him. He's also in another, I don't know why they see him as this royal guy, but he's in another Hallmark movie called Once Upon a Prince, which I really like, which is obviously about a prince.
And he's the prince in that one too, or is he?
Yeah. He's the prince.
Typecast.
Royal. He was on, I think part of it is he was on a show called Rain.
Oh yeah.
And the Hallmark for a while there was like mining Rain
Yeah.
for
Is he
for talent.
British? Is he British?
I think so. Let's see here. Jonathan Keltz was born in New York City.
Oh,
Karen Lippert, who worked in
American.
blah, 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 upstate New York, attended
he's American.
He moved with his family to Toronto to attend high school. This is quite the IMDb thing here. So evidently he's Canadian / American. He resides in Los Angeles. He is of German and Polish heritage, but he's got that British accent down pretty good.
Yeah. I just wondered if he was always a prince because he has a British accent.
I think it's because of Rain.
Yeah.
That must be it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can be, I think, quite charming.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I enjoyed him. Maybe not my top choices from some of the other movies we've watched, but I thought he was good.
Yeah. So, and then Natalie, how do you think she is as a lead for both of these?
I thought she was adorable, and she was on the move and stalked by a prince in those woods with her sneakers. She was not messing around.
We'll talk about that, but I really appreciated that they took a second to actually have her change shoes.
Yeah, because you're not running in the woods barefoot without some injuries.
This is no like a lot of people, including myself, hated in Jurassic World how she's outrunning a T-Rex in heels.
Yeah.
If she can stop for a second and stalked by a prince and put on tennis shoes, they can in
or at least wear some like Dr. Scholl's heels or something. Some Clarks, I don't know, some that have better, arch support.
Yeah. So I guess the thing that's a little bit hard to believe is that so she meets with the prince the first time they have their meet cute, and he asks her out like immediately,
which is a red flag. Might as well have been stalked by a prince.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's what I find to be so interesting is like so many things that happen in Fit for a Prince, like all these things like asking her out, like it's like, oh my god,
yeah,
well, right? It's supposed to be romantic and sweep you out the feet, but if that was the wrong person and you didn't want it, that would feel very
it's the whole
creepy. There's a fine line.
On How I Met Your Mother, there's the whole thing called the Doppler versus Dahmer.
Yeah.
And it's so Doppler is in Say Anything. The last name. And so his big grand gesture is charming because you like him, right?
Yeah.
But if you didn't like him, it would be super creepy and weird, like Dahmer.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely true.
Such a fine line. And it's like, so think about like the behaviors that like a potential partner did and you liked them versus someone you didn't like. That is how fine the line is.
Yeah.
And like obviously the line was totally crossed and stalked by a prince, but you should also probably see some red flags and Fit for a Prince.
Probably.
Just saying. Change the score and it changes the whole tenor.
And he's, especially this line when he says when he says he says, would you go to lunch with a perfect stranger? And then she says, so you're saying you're perfect? Yeah, that's the red flags all over the place.
There's no one who's perfect. Red flag,
stranger.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Stranger danger is what it is then.
Yeah, and so these people at the Hamilton Mansion are quite the group. We have the mother, I think her name was Virginia. The very first thing she asks her is if she's married. Are you married yet? What? And then Julia, she was I thought a very good snob. The actress did an excellent job.
Yeah, she was the one that pranked her and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so telling her to dress casual to the ball. And then,
which I feel like is pretty tame. Like if I think it would have been really funny if she had told her that it was like a costume party.
like Legally Blonde, and she shows up in the
Mean Girls.
bunny outfit. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been funny.
That would have been mean.
It would have been mean, but she's a total snob.
Yeah. And she wants the prince for herself.
Yeah. So like it would have been, I mean, maybe you don't want it to be too unbelievable, but yeah, to say,
but also
surprise,
like impressions matter in that world, and like she's doing and following rules, and she is not following the rules, and so it does not make a good impression. So I don't know, I think it's a pretty serious prank.
Yeah, it was it could have been really funny though, is all I'm saying. Yeah. And there's this whole thing of she says, does this Julia lady, does she know she's not the future queen? Does she know she's not your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Because there does seem to be some confusion there.
Yeah. I didn't think he was interested in her at all. It felt like a setup.
Yeah, I have to admit, watching this movie, did you watch Red, White? Did you watch Red, White, and Royal Blue yet?
Not yet. Oh. It's on my list.
Oh.
I know. Oh. I know. I was thinking about watching it this weekend. So
I couldn't help but compare the two.
Yeah.
Because they both have
it's another
royal movie, and they both have a tall blonde British lead prince.
Yep.
But I was like, am I getting I have to stop myself from like thinking getting gay vibes. Like different story. Different.
That was a book / different movie.
Oh, they're so good. I'm like, I am obsessed.
Did you review it for the podcast?
Did, yeah.
I missed it.
If people
check it out, I need to check it out too, because I missed it.
My friend Joe and I, we did a whole episode on it. I wrote a whole review on my blog. I'm obsessed.
I'm
the
obsessed.
Best. So then she gets invited to this dinner party, and the Virginia, the mom, invites her, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of that." And I really did like her dress. Overall, I thought the fashion was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, there were a couple times where she was wearing outfits where I was like, but you're wanting to be a designer. And I was like, but I understand the Hallmark budget.
Yeah, I mean, some of them were a little prom dressy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Homecoming Court.
Yeah, compared to some of these movies, I thought the dresses, including her final look, I thought was beautiful. I'm a big sucker for sparkle.
Yeah.
I love a sparkly formal look.
Yeah. One of my good friends had this beautiful navy off the shoulder prom dress with all sparkles, and I just remember being like, where did you find it?
That's fun.
In this world, really you have to go to the designer.
Yeah, I guess so. And then she's about to get ready, and then Julia tells her that that's actually a casual party. And I would have definitely texted Ronan at this point and be like, "Hey, this snobby lady is telling me it's
too trusting."
I would have verified that for sure, or at least brought another dress with me. And but no, she goes for it, and it works to her benefit because he thinks it's really charming.
Yeah, and what does her shirt say? You only live once.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a funny scene when she says everyone is always posing for a photograph, even though one isn't being taken.
Yeah.
And because the reality is that photos are constantly being taken for all of us in our the society. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day, that how hard it must be to be a teenager these days, because you have to worry about your photo being taken all the time.
Or just think about the fact that parents record their kids before the kids can give permission. And so they're all over the internet before kids are old enough to be like, I don't want my picture taken.
Mhm.
And so they're already grow up in a life being, photos taken constantly themselves or by other people.
Yeah. You just get used to it.
Well,
but
and I guess also if they're the American royalty and then, these British folks coming in to take care of him when he's away from his family, that their pictures are taken a lot by paparazzi.
Yeah. And then he comes down in his casual, which I thought was cute.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. If you love Downton Abbey, British period dramas, and espionage mixed with exhilarating romance, you won't want to miss out on author Rosanna M. White's new book, A Beautiful Disguise. In this Edwardian romance, dire straits force Lady Marigold Fairfax and her brother to become private investigators in London. When a handsome lord hires them to look into the father of Marigold's best friend for suspected international espionage, she is determined to discover the truth and even more determined to keep her heart from getting involved. Purchase A Beautiful Disguise for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com, or use the affiliate link below. They play this whole game where you like pass the ball to whatever person he draws. He gives people cards and then you pass the ball, and then she
that game was weird.
Yeah, it was like this. It was like a weird game for this like formal party.
Yeah, but that's, I think, the point, right? He was like, he came down in his informal shirt so that she doesn't feel left out.
Yeah,
and then let's do these informal games.
Yeah. And then she goes outside and they have an almost kiss, and then there's sprinklers.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
It makes me wonder if one of those evil stepsister types didn't set it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't, but
Yeah, and Julia is just like, certain feathers don't flock together.
I know, that was so rude. She said it right to her face. I was like, oh, those are fighting words.
Yeah.
Trying to say that she doesn't have the feathers to fit in.
But she was, I thought a deliciously evil, horrible, funny.
Whereas I'm like, stop being mean and include her. Why you gotta be so mean?
Yeah. And so then I love the fact that he finds out his father is stepping down from the throne from Julia. I think he might be involved
in prank. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why would there have been some like formal conversation with the person who's going to take over the throne?
I would think that, you would want to call your child and tell them about
before it hits the news.
Yeah.
Find out reading a newspaper, you're the next king.
But his father's stepping down, so he's going to be king. So she stops taking his calls.
Hard out there for princes, I'll tell you what.
You're going to be king. I don't fit into that equation.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah. And
who is she? Meghan Markle? Come on.
Well, and so then they have this like luncheon thing. And the whole time those dresses were sitting close to that fountain. I was like, oh no.
They're getting ready for the gala and they were still deciding on food for the very next day.
Right.
And I was like, no, I think they would already be making the food. And so, she parks the clothes next to a chocolate fountain.
And that was painful just to see all those dresses get chocolatified.
And we didn't really get to see the dresses, so we don't know if they were good or not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But they were ruined.
But she also makes him a suit.
Yeah.
And
he was looking fly.
Yeah. He's looking good. And so then Julia, she all of a sudden has this change of heart, and she's like, I'm sorry. He's the one that, I mean, you're the one he obviously likes. I'm not. Yes, she's just, for whatever.
She gave up.
She did give up.
She gave up too soon. I was surprised. I thought she had more in her.
Yeah. So then Ronan comes to help her make the dresses. He's like, I don't know anything, but I'm here. And then Reggie comes and saves the day.
Yeah, so they have to make 4 new dresses in less than 24 hours. And if you've ever seen an episode of Project Runway, they can barely get one dress done.
Yeah.
In 10 hours.
Like Rebecca wants a dress for her as well.
Yeah. The designer.
Yeah.
Design your own dress.
For real. And so then they have like a pretty cozy moment where she falls asleep and on his shoulder, and he like wakes her up. That was good. And she says, we need to praise the person who actually deserves the credit. And he tells them at the castle, and she says, you were with her last night, because she falls asleep in the castle too.
Yeah.
And you were with her last night, and he's like, I was, sort of.
Because I was put to work.
Yeah. And so then this is when Rebecca finally is kind of bullied into giving her the credit.
Yeah, she kind of gives in a little too soon too.
Yeah. And Rebecca offers her the partnership, and says that he says that he thought it had to fit the mold, and she's like, she's not quite the mold. And he says this can be happily ever after if you play your cards right. So
if you play your cards right. Dun, dun, dun. Enter Stalked by a Prince music.
Yeah. And then he says, and then we have our like Pretty Woman moment where he's standing outside she says, aren't you supposed to be at the ball? And he, not without you.
And then she just like, I just happen to have a dress here.
Yeah.
Let me
but I did like the dress.
Yeah.
A lot of times in these royal movies, the big princess wow moment is underwhelming.
Yeah.
But this was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And then they dance.
They dance. And I dare you to be spontaneous. And then she dances like a crazy person.
Well, no, first doesn't she say be spontaneous, and he kisses her?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then she dances like.
Yes.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Well, let's talk about Stalked by a Prince.
Stellar score right out the gate. You're feeling the pressure.
Yeah. The beginning, we have this woman getting killed, and
saying,
please, please, I just want to live. I mean, this guy, he not only is a murderer, but he's like very sloppy murderer. I mean, he doesn't even like try to bury them. He just has them.
But he has that one guy to help him cover it up.
Well, I mean, and they don't even actually, they're just there in the hay.
Hey, he's a prince. He doesn't think he'll ever be touched. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, this is the greatest cover ever, being a prince. No one can touch me.
But I think, don't they say he's like sixth in line?
Yeah, so he's like a pointless prince.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's there's like this gala, and she has this like BFF who's like her coworker, and they're introduced that way, and they chat, and he gets her number, and so far it seems like, oh, he's pretty good, like he's cute, and then
the music would say otherwise.
Yeah, the music would say otherwise, but it does take a while for him to like really start to be crazy. Like they build it up pretty well, as far as
my question was, so basically, I don't know, I might disagree, because the next day he's following her, and then
but like
takes her. To me, that's
but she doesn't know that. Like there's nothing. They do a pretty good job of making her behavior, I think, pretty believable.
Yeah,
because he's always playing this like part of the prince. Like even when she finally decides to go with him, he had gotten rid of the ex, and he's standing there with flowers, and like I feel like from her perspective, I'm like, most of her choices make sense.
I again disagree, because he asked her to go to another country with knowing her for a day. Red flags. I need a flag. Where's my red flags at? I don't have any. I need red flags.
I think they did a pretty good job of keeping that veneer. Like there were like, that I bought it. I bought her behavior for the most part. I mean, you do have to get her there to that country and that house, and put her in these tense situations. But
you know what would have helped? Like the first date, and then a montage of them dating for 3 weeks, and then going to a different country. Then I'm a little bit more on board.
Yeah.
A 30-second montage, people. That's all we needed.
Well, so then we see him in the bathroom, and he's cut himself all over.
Or are those injuries from someone fighting back?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I thought they were trying to say that he's like, I mean, they were obviously trying to say he's disturbed, but that like he's a cutter, and the brother says, have you taken your pills?
Yeah. I don't like that. They just assume that only people who are off their meds are going to do this behavior. I think that's, I'm like, stalking happens, and it doesn't always have to be someone who's off their meds.
Right.
But one case, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So he takes her on the date, and you've got this handler guy that's always kind of there. And I think that actually could have been an interesting way to go if like the big reveal was that the handler was really the murderer.
Ooh.
And he was manipulating, controlling the prince.
Ooh.
Like that I think might have been more interesting.
Rachel's writing a script. She's got a new movie idea.
Because like his behavior, I mean, come on. You're supposed to believe that he's just such a loyalist to the crown, I guess, that he would watch all of these people. He knows about all of these women getting murdered. And like, I mean, what?
Or do you wonder if, it's never clear if he knows that he's murdered women.
I think he definitely knows about the women in the stable for sure.
Okay.
That was my take, at least.
Yeah. I just meant like, at the very least, he's protecting a secret of the royal, that they have sort of this unhinged
definitely.
Member.
Yeah. And then he says that sometimes tradition is a trap. It's hard to be a royal.
It is. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A tough life. You just like you christen new buildings and ships and things, and fundraise for stuff.
Yeah.
It's a hard being a royal.
Well, it was really sad when he was talking about playing out in their acres, and saying that no one would play his games. Although you wonder if he was like a little sociopath then, or a little narcissist. And so no one wanted to play with him because he was a little sociopath.
Yeah. Well, he takes out her SD card of her phone and so that allows him to now track everything with her, which was effective as far as the movie goes, in creating the stalking situation.
Yeah. My major questions. Okay, so he did that, and he has access to listen in on conversations. But there's a scene where he's sitting in a store, restaurant, coffee shop of some sort, and he's sitting at a computer, and the climax at the end is that he's got the location device up. However, before that happens, he's printed off evidence of his stalking. He's got like he could have just stalked her on the internet, but he's printed off pictures and profiles of her.
Well, the other thing too is that like
why?
This would be the most boring woman to stalk. Like what is she doing? Like watching her like work all day
and then work at night at 3 a.m. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
But like I didn't understand. Like I was like, that's what the internet's for. You can scroll and see it anytime. You don't necessarily need to print it out. Like he's one of those people like, I can't read an article online. I got to print it out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and so then her ex sees her with the prince, photos of her with the prince. I thought
was scandalous. Like he was like, oh, she's with the prince, so that would make me cooler if I stole her back from the prince. Yeah. And so I'm gonna call her. And I was like, not cool, bro.
And the ex comes with the flowers and everything, and she's gonna come down and see him, and because the prince has been stalking, so he knows, so he comes and he takes the ex out, and he's then there with the flowers.
Stole the flowers from Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck's dead. Well, and here's the thing, like, it's discovered that like the friend sees an article online about the death, and why the police weren't trying to reach her is unbelievable, because he would have been found, I'm assuming, right next to her apartment, and it's an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Why weren't the police looking for her?
Yeah, I definitely think that she would be questioned. There's
person of interest.
Yeah, a person of interest. Yeah, but she's charmed by the prince now because he has the flowers, and he tells her to come with him, and she does decide to go, and
can we just point out though that she spends a lot of time being like, no, I just met you, I can't leave. And he kind of like pressures her into it, I would say, or sort of wears her down, which again is what we might call a red flag.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's red flags all over the place. And I did think it was really funny. So she goes to this place, and she has a bath, and she has her hair in a towel after the bath. She takes it down, and it is not only is it completely dry, her hair, but it is completely styled and had like a blowout.
Yeah. Okay. My thought was, you know how people wear those headbands when they do like their face and skincare routine and stuff like that? I was like, does she just not have one of those? So she had to put her hair back so she could do her makeup. But that was one of the biggest questions, besides him printing out her profile, that I had about this movie. Like, yeah. It was like they were trying to make like a cute, embarrassing little moment, but it did not make sense.
It's like in I think it's Jaws 3, when Michael Caine gets out of the water in a scene, and then the next scene over, he's just come out of the boat, completely dry shirt, completely everything's ready to go. And I was laughing. And then she starts to find like little things, like she finds like hair.
She finds an earring with blood, and he's like, no, that's rust.
Yeah.
What does the prince know about rust?
And he says, I'm a man of complicated desires.
Red flag.
He's watching her sleep. Like I said, this woman would be like the most boring person to stalk. Like, what?
It was just like he didn't like discern between people. He just was like, I'm going to pick her because her friend introduced me.
Yeah.
Where it was like, you think someone who stalks and all that might have a type, or it's a particular person that they used to be in a relationship with, right? Like that's a lot of what stalkers are, like past partners.
Right.
But like he was just like, I guess her.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
I mean, it's hard because I think a lot of times too, stalking movies, it's usually the celebrity that's being stalked, not the so they were trying to flip it around. But when she finds this head in the stable, it's just like, what?
Well, and I
mean, you're supposed to buy that he's got this, like, and I think that there are like multiple bodies in this stable, and she just like reaches into the hay and pulls out this head.
I was like, what is happening? But at the beginning of the movie, she's like reading the news and someone is missing. And so I was assuming it was that person that they showed the article of at the beginning. But I feel like the handler guy, he drew a map and had her go off property because he was trying to get her to leave. And she comes back, and then she cuts through and finds the stable and finds the dead body, and then she's like really in a world of hurt.
Well, and the handler says, my loyalty's to the crown. And
come on, we need to break loyalty sometimes. Like, not even for murder. Come on, people. Too loyal is a red flag.
I mean, that was I just thought it was wild when she reaches into the hay and pulls out a head. I was like,
we're not in Hallmark anymore. We're in Lifetime, baby. We got heads and hay.
So then the brother comes with his wife and 2 kids,
which seems like a bad idea.
Well, he trying to help his brother, and she's trying to leave, but that she goes
Every door is locked.
But then she goes to dinner with the brother and sister-in-law, and she has this please help me note. And I thought that was pretty effective.
It was clever, but the wrong person got it. She was hoping to give it to the wife. Although she later seems like she was like, I don't know if I should help you.
Well, but I thought that this whole like bottom part of the movie was pretty fun. She's trying to get the note, and like different people see the note, and then so the prince and the brother get in a big fight. But then the prince finds her note, and this is when she abandons her shoes and puts on the tennis shoes, which I was like, good.
She goes back to her room to get her shoes, which is dangerous because that's the one spot they might look for her.
And then there's this whole scene where she sets up a live stream. And so she gets him to confess to the murderers, and he's like monologuing, and he says, I know how to dig a deep dark hole. Evidently not, because you are just putting your victims in hay.
His own deep dark hole is what he's digging himself. He's digging himself a hole.
And he says, no one will find you or even look for you.
Well, now they will, because this is streaming live, and what a scandal. I bet so many people tuned in.
Your public is watching, she says.
That's like the world is watching. Yikes.
And so this is finally the moment for the handler where he's like, I guess one murder was that he could forgive that, but this is the final straw. I'm done covering for you. Surrender yourself. And he shoots the handler, or stabs him.
He stabs him.
Yeah.
And then he steals his gun.
And he says, when he stabs him, he says, "You've been relieved." That was good. Good.
A good line. Good
Yeah.
line.
And so then she tells the brother about all of everything, and he says, "You need to stop this." And she runs, and then the prince and the brother have this conversation, and the prince says, "No one can help me," and he shoots his brother.
Royal scandal. That family is gonna
Yes.
be tarred for life, man. Or
Yeah.
scarred for life. I don't know.
I guess it's a good thing they're like what, 5th and 6th in line. So there's other people who can take the throne.
Hopefully a little bit more on it, getting
Mhm.
stuff done.
Yeah. And so he tracks her through the forest, and she loses her shoe, which I thought was kind of fun because, especially if you think of the other movie, she's named Cindy.
Throwback to Cinderella.
This is the like creepy version of Cinderella, to lose your shoe. And he says, "You may be charming, but you are no prince." That was good.
I was like, get him.
Yeah, she's got the gun, but then before she can shoot him, the handler has managed to get the strength to come up and shoot him.
Yeah.
So he saves the day.
And then he dies. I had just enough strength to get up this hill to find you.
Yeah.
And shoot him. And then that's it. Goodbye. Dear
So
world.
if you had to pick, which one would you watch again? Stalked by a Prince or Fit for a Prince?
I would watch Stalked by a Prince. In fact, when I was watching it, I was texting my best friend and be like, "Girl, you need to watch Stalked by a Prince."
Yeah.
And she said, "Why are there so many princes out there that need a partner?"
Yeah.
So many princes.
It's a tough gig, I guess.
Yes.
It's hard. But I obviously would pick Fit for a Prince.
Yeah. It's just the way we grew up.
Yeah, that's right. But I thought they were both.
They were both watchable.
They were watchable. Yeah, I thought they were both watchable, but nothing special. But fun.
I don't know.
It was a fun experiment.
Stalked by a Prince was kind of fun with I'm telling you, the music is its own character.
Yeah, it's true. So there we go. Let us know if you've seen both of these, and which Hallmark movie would you like to see the Lifetime treatment on?
Yes.
Because I think that would be absolutely hilarious, and I hope we get more.
Could you imagine a creepy cookie crawl?
Oh my gosh. God. Yeah, that would be amazing.
All of my dreams have come true.
So let us know in the comments. And since we've done 40 movies for On Friendship, let us know what some of your favorite episodes of the series have. We'd love to hear that in the comments. And I'll have a playlist for all of the episodes that we've done. And Alysa, how can people find you?
Yes, I am Best Forever's Pod on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'm friends with Alysa on TikTok.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please review both of our podcasts. We would sure appreciate it. Give your 5-star reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps us a lot. And to check out the Patreon, that is a great way you can support us. And then we also have our merch store, which is a lot of fun. So take a look at that. And thanks so much. Happy 40th. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.